Daar gaan ons.
Daar gaan ons.
Daar gaan ons in die het jy?
Ja, ek het hom. Hallo, hallo.
Daar sê daar. Hang jy oorkapie se mond.
Lekker warm vandag, né?
Kyk hoe lyk ons.
Dit is it's like dit is op die oomblik, né?
Ja.
Is dit 14 grade Celsius. 14 degrees Celsius. First of all, hello Namibia and the rest of the world in a very cold windhoek this morning, and it's going to get colder over the weekend.
Ja. Seker.
14 degrees doesn't seem so cold, especially those European viewers that we've got on the show. But when this little Namibian breeze starts blowing, then I'm sure that, wat het jy dit genoem, chill factor.
Chill factor van die wind. Ja,
Ja.
hy kners vlakte knyp. As die windjie gaan lê, dan is dit eintlik baie matig
Yes.
en baie lekker.
Yes.
Gistermiddag dit gehad. Wind het vreeslik begin waai. Toe sê ek vir Mona, jong, hier kom die koue. Toe stap ek uit, toe sê ek, "Vat, dis glad nie koud nie." En toe sê sy, "Nee, wag so 'n bietjie. Dis hierdie windjie wat daai koue lug so insuig
Yes.
hier oor die land. Wag vir vannag en môreoggend en hier sit ons vanoggend met food Friday."
And effectively what has happened is that when we woke up this morning, it was cold, but then it started getting colder and colder and colder.
Weet jy Kaufeee neem, en ek sê dit nou weer vir jou en ek sê dit veral vir ons Infostreamers.
Right.
Ek het toe, ek was eergister en ek het dit vir jou gesê, was ek toe nou bekommerd oor jou.
Okay.
Jy moet nou onthou nou, daar's ook nou net een Kaufeee met wie ek kan uitsaai. So hoe gaan ek nou maak as hier 'n palmboom langs my staan?
Ai.
So, en toe het ek sommer vir 'n paar vriende gesê, dit het eintlik anders omgewerk. Hulle het gesê, hoe goed doen ek en jy saam as twee aanbieders?
Okay.
Toe sê ek, ja, ons verskil hemelsbreed van mekaar, maar miskien is dit hoekom ons so lekker saam uitsaai.
Dit is altyd baie lekker om met jou uit te saai.
So vir die Infostreamers, ek was bekommerd oor Kaufeee, maar hy's weer reg hy gaan ons een of ander tyd in hierdie show gaan hy ons vertel van sy kos wat hy gemaak het en die uitkoms daarvan.
Yes.
En gepraat daarvan, daar agter staan die dierbare en ook een van ons getroue ondersteuners, Chef Terry. Môre.
Main support.
Môre Chef Terry. Ek is bly jy's hier.
Ek ook.
En
Dit is altyd lekker.
Maar jy sien jy kry nie koud vanoggend.
Nee, ek staan lekker by die vuur.
Ek weet.
So, talking about Terry, Piet Spies van Bloemfontein, hy sê dit is net so koud daar by hulle en hy sê ook môre Chef Terry in die kombuis.
Daar's hy.
Right. Ek dink daai 3 botteltjies is baie belangrik.
Dis medisyne. Chef
Okay.
Terry's jou medisyne ook.
Yes.
Jou.
And our wine review for today.
Kom sê Terry, hoekom het jy dit gekies?
The Terry choose.
Ja.
Okay.
Ja. Terry moet vir ons kom sê hy nee, want ek sê toe vir hom wat gaan saam met Mexican kos? Toe sê Terry vir my Dirkas kry 'n Merlot. Hoekom?
Want Merlots are normally, let's put it this way, they're medium-bodied to full-bodied wines.
Ja.
So what's nice is it's not a very heavy, dry, tannin-filled wine like your Cabernet Sauvignons would be.
Okay.
So it's the varietal is more fruity flavored, cherries, plums, the stone fruits.
Yes.
And with Mexican food, you've got the spices, you've got a bit of avocado for the butteriness, you've got
Right.
cheese for some richness.
Ja.
So a nice fruity wine, medium-bodied fruity wine, actually helps balance out that meal. It gives it, the meal gives the wine a chance to show itself.
Okay.
And the wine just complements sour cream and cheese and tacos, basically.
Wow.
Dis wat is vandag die tacos.
So tacos goes with Merlot.
Ja.
Always remember that.
Kaffie van laas het jy lekker tacos geëet.
Nee, baie lank las.
Lekker.
I can't even remember how long ago
lekker
that
tacos.
was. Yes.
So dankie Chef Terry, dit is een van Suid-Afrika se eie Tall Horse.
Yes.
What's nice is it's a very reasonably priced wine.
Ja.
Yes.
So it's good for people that are getting into wines.
Ja.
They don't have to pay an arm and a leg, and they're getting a consistently good quality wine.
Yes. Okay, dis great. Baie dankie. So chef Terry, ons gaan hom nou gaan ons sy nekkie breek. En dan saam met jou kossies gaan ons hom probeer. Hierdie ene koffie, wanneer moet ons die medisyne neem?
I think we need to do it right
Kom ons
now.
doen hierdie medisyne vir die koue.
Also, thank you to Underberg.
Yeah.
You are one of our favorite, shall we call it, associates.
I think we
Fridays.
have to change that.
Why?
I think we are one of their more royal
Customers.
Ja, dit moet eintlik die ander kant op wees. Cheers
So,
op die
cheers.
op hierdie koue oggend julle.
Yes.
En glo my vry, dit maak daar 'n bietjie warm. As hy kos probeer hom. Dan gaan hy.
So I always talk once Dirk drinks his Underberg, because if we both drink, then there's silence on the show, and we can't have silence on the
Hoe
show.
kry jy dit terug? Okay. Dan gaan hy. Baie dankie. Daar's hy. Ons vind nou nog. Nou maar goed julle, welkom op hierdie koue Vrydagoggend. Ons hoop ons kan die dag vir julle darm so bietjie warmer maak as wat dit is. Ek weet baie van julle lê in die bed. Ek weet nie in Suid-Afrika was dit gister vakansiedag. Afrika
No, it's Africa Day, so I think it should be
Is Suid-Afrika nog deel van
a
Afrika?
holiday throughout Africa, isn't it?
Okay, maar ek is nou glad nie seker nie. Maar ek weet baie ouens vandag. Jy kan sommer sien as jy ry, so ons nou na ons werk toe kom hierso. Hoe stil is die strate? En dis eerie, dis want jy weet dis Vrydag,
Yes.
maar dis so half is 'n snaakse gevoel want daar's nie baie mense nie, maar aan die ander kant se ek ook bly want dan weet ek julle sit voor die TV op julle rekenaars. Baie ouens kyk op hulle TV want hulle switch dit of op julle selfoon en kyk julle vir ons twee.
Ja.
Dit daaroor is ek bly. So ek of dit nou koud is of nie, ons sal wel in die koue winters ons binne iewers 'n plekkie gaan kry wat ons al klaar geïdentifiseer het. Maar Afrika is nie vir sissies.
Yeah.
Koffie
Never has
gesels
been.
saam vanoggend.
Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of loyal Infostreamers on the show this
Ja.
morning. Ons het vir Zelly Kotse, sy kry ook koud vanoggend. Abby Smith, sy is op. Môre Abby, dis nice om jou te sien. Sy sê dis lekker snoesig onder die duvet. So sy Abby's lying in bed and watching Infostream.
Ja, ek dink so.
Monica Langenhoven van Kamp Vrede is ook op. Piet Spies, hy sê is 'n baie koue dag in Bloemfontein. Hy sê ook 'n medium to full body mampoer will also be nice with Mexican food.
Wat sê Mark?
Mark Barnard, hy lê seker ook nog aan die bed.
Mark
Hy
is
sê
seker-
môre manne, och geniet. Ja, ons sal so maak.
Ja.
Tia Skutte, ek dog jy kom kuier vir ons Tia. Jy het ons beloof jy kom kuier vir ons.
Ja, sy
Wasn't there a promise somewhere?
Ja, sy het gesê sy gaan probeer.
Daar sê
As Hansie kan weg.
those are the streamers. Hy sê nee, ons hou nie daardie een nie. Dit was National Hump Day in South Africa. Okay, so you guys don't have Africa Day.
Okay.
En dan sê hy nee, Mark sê van ons werk, haha, ek kan die hoendervleis van hier af sien. Onderberg.
Nee, ons het weet jy wat ek eintlik vanoggend gedoen het? Ek wou
Ja.
vir jou gesê kom ons trek Monique.
Okay.
Monique se daai tops.
Oh,
Daai
yes.
oortrek. Daai
That's
oortrek.
going to happen on Monday.
Ek dink maandag.
Yes.
As dit so koud is dan bel ek en jy mekaar op WhatsApp net of ons gooi dit in ons kar en ons bring dit saam.
Yes.
Gepraat van Monique. Dis pragtige. Daai is pragtig. Het ons baie dankie Monique. Baie dankie Warta dat julle ons aan die gang hou.
They keep
Sê
our
sommer-
energy flowing.
Sê sommer net vir julle daar baie dankie. Maar ons sal daai hoodies aantrek want hulle is regtig lekker warm.
Yes.
So ons gaan dit doen.
I'm sitting here, to be quite honest, double-breasted.
Ek ook. Ek ook. Ek het ook twee.
Baie
ek het ook
sensitief.
twee. Mos jy dan mos Infostream Namibia.
Ja.
So. As daar mense is daar buitekant. Ek weet Shakie is een. Ek weet Shakie is een. Hulle is besorg oor ons wellness, het gesê ons sal vir julle warm toppies organise. Ek wag nog net vir Lollo dat sy vir ons Infostream hoedjies hikkel wat ons kan opsit in die oggend. Koffie koers wat gou advertensiebreek en dan kom kyk ons wat in die koerante aangaan. Dan
Dis
kan
hy.
ons hierdie dag lekker op 'n galop kry. So ons is nou weer terug by julle.
vat dit vir ons op Vrydag.
Terug hierso.
En daar is ons weer.
Hierso daar is ons weer, daar is ons weer. Met die gewone koerant nuus voor jou deur.
Yes, on this beautiful Friday.
Kom, Kaufeee, jy's eerste.
Okay, so I'm looking at the front page of the German daily, the Allgemeine Zeitung. But then maybe I must just also turn it around and look at the back page. And over our public holiday and all that, we had that very sad news of Tina Turner passing away.
Ja.
She passed away at the age of 83.
Wow. Okay.
And you won't believe this. This is actually quite interesting. In terms of music classification, she was classified as a rock and roll singer, a rock and roll artist.
Ja.
Do you know that?
Wel, ek het nou iets by jou geleer, maar toe jy dit sê en ek dink aan haar, ek het die voorreg gehad om haar te sien in Sun City.
Right.
Toe het ek op 'n produksie gewerk.
Wow.
Ek was baie jonk nog by die SAK.
Yes.
Toe het ek haar ook ontmoet, want sy die hele crew het sy vir wyn en snackies gegee na die show.
Okay.
En ek was soos in totaal my
Verstom.
mond het oopgegaan.
I've got to be respectfully honest with you. Tina Turner's legs were the most beautiful legs ever.
Ja. Nee, kyk,
Absolutely stunning.
daar's twee
And
dames.
her total ambience.
Ja.
And her, oh my word.
En daai en haar net haar al haar songs wat sy sing.
Yes, yes,
Maar as dit kom by lywe was dit Cher en Tina Turner, daai twee.
yes.
Maar daar's natuurlik baie pragtige mense daar buitekant in elk geval.
I know.
So, watter ander nuus het jy vir ons?
Okay, so maybe just in terms of some other news, and I'm just trying to quickly get ourselves sorted here. On the front page of the Allgemeine Zeitung, and I've spoken to Dirk about this pre-show, there's an article that, you know, that bird that breeds basically on the coastlines of Namibia. It's called a Damara tern. In German, you call it eine Damara Seeschwalbe. So it's classified in terms of the German wording as a swalkie.
Okay.
All right, so a swallow. And what happens with these birds, they basically live along our coastlines, and they find a specific kind of place in the desert to actually lay their eggs. But their eggs are basically very small, and they are spotted in such a way, camouflaged, the eggs, in such a way that they look like eggs. And in terms of these animals, you know, one of the predators...
They look like stones or
They look like stones.
ja.
And these eggs get tackled by other seabirds, and also jackal and all that kind of stuff. But I actually want to talk about this article on Tuesday, on Conservation Tuesday, and bring up the whole Damara tern issue in Namibia. Because I know the people living at the coast are very adamant at vehicles driving over these, you know, those stony plains that you get between the dunes, that you keep to the left or to the right of the dune area, in other words, the sandy area, and leave those stony areas alone when it comes to your 4x4s and quad bikes and all that kind of stuff. But we'll be talking about that a little bit more in detail. A wonderful research has been done about these birds, and that they're saying that they are now also breeding in winter.
Dis
And
interessant.
I wouldn't have thought that. Okay, so we'll be talking about this. The reason that they are saying in the in the newspaper, it is the Damara tern, these birds, are underpopulated. Okay, so the idea is to try and lift the population of these Damara terns, and subsequently, what I think is being meant here, and we probably need to find an expert in this, is because even in winter, the temperatures at the coast remain reasonably from hot to cold, reasonably stable.
Okay, okay.
And hence there we have the Damara tern. Ek weet nie wat noem mense om seker maar die Damara swaalkie in Afrikaans.
Damara,
That they are actually breeding in winter, which is good news. So I think all in all, we would love to see the Damara tern population rise.
Daar's dit. Ons het baie lekker storieetjies. Ja, ons vrolike Tanya Baas het weer 'n lekker storie geskryf oor 'n musikant. Hy is natuurlik baie bekend. Baie van julle ken hom of het al gehoor van die musikant Ou Steaks.
Steaks,
Ou Steaks. En
Yes.
hy het al verlede jaar sy 14de album het hy bekend gestel. Maar hy het net besef, weet jy wat, ek maak nie geld as 'n musikant nie. Not kyk vir wie kyk ek.
I'm totally with him.
En toe het hy besluit hy moet iets anders te doen vir hom met sy gesin. Toe het hy begin veldskoene maak. En dit het aanvanklik stadig gegaan. Op hierdie stadium loop dit baie goed vir hom. Hy sê hy het gesukkel. Hy sê maar met die tyd en die verloop van tyd het dinge al hoe beter gaan. So vir Seaside Leatherworks se vellies kan julle maar gaan uitkyk. Dit is daar in Swakop. Dis beskikbaar in Swakop, Henties en in Mariental. So dit sou lekker gewees het om met hom te gesels. Ons raak aan goed wat interessant is. As baie goeie nuus in die houtskoolbedryf. Ek gaan dit ook hou en dit los vir Dinsdag.
Ja.
Se gesprek en dit gaan hier oor die ander byprodukte wat nou op hierdie stadium geweldig populêr word in Namibië. En daar is soort van bietjie van 'n skuif van die vervaardiging van houtskool na die byprodukte en dit is houtskerwe en houtasyn. En hulle sê op hierdie stadium is die produkte bekostigbaar en die boere word aangemoedig om meer as net houtskool te vervaardig. Doeteenvoudig dat daar bietjie meer van 'n balans is as net houtskool in Namibië. Maar kom ons kyk na die totale storie en die detail daarvan Dinsdag. As jy nuuskierig is, gaan lees die koerant vandag. Ek wil net so vinnig kyk en dan die ander ding is ook vir 'n lekker storieetjie op die voorblad. As jy die koerant in hand het, is natuurlik die stroop van beskermde plante.
Dat gaan ons ook
in Namibië.
Dinsdag oor praat.
En Kaufeee nie hoeveel nie. Hulle praat van die dwergvetplant of die lightops.
Yes.
Dat 1400 plantjies is gestroop naby Warmbad.
Ja.
Hier in die suide. En gelukkig die stroopers het toe probeer om dit by ons Seepkans grenspos deur te vat. Maar die polisieman het snif in die neus gekry en hy toe gaan kyk en hy het op 1400 plantjies afgekom in die voertuig wat gestroop is. En daar is 2 mense is aan die Namibiese kant in hegtenis geneem en nog 2 aan die Suid-Afrikaanse kant. Maar 2 van die stroopers het wel weggekom. Nou wat hier interessant is dat die polisie by die grenspos is ewe skielik baie bedag op nie net die stroop van wild of diere en so meer nie, maar ook plante wat nou doodeenvoudig uitgeroei word. Maar Hilde Meton en Eduard April, hulle het 'n kweekhuis in livestops en wat hulle nou doen is hulle teel die plantjies alreeds vooruit. Sodat wanneer die stroping plaasvind, dat hulle in daardie gebiede onmiddellik weer plantjies probeer hervestig, dat dit nie totaal uitgeroei word nie. Maar dis net die kort van die storie. Okay.
Fascinating. Then I've got one particular article, if I may.
Ja.
It is here also on the front page of the New Era this morning, and would like to say also thank you to the New Era. So what they're saying, green hydrogen set for liftoff. Cabinet approves a $10 billion deal. So let me just read this. Namibia's green hydrogen ambitions moved a step closer to fruition after Cabinet this week approved an agreement with Hyphen hydrogen energy. The agreement will give Hyphen the go-ahead to govern the development, implementation and operation of sub-Saharan Africa's largest and only fully vertical integrated green hydrogen project. So Hyphen Hydrogen Energy is a joint venture between Nicholas Holding and Enertrak South Africa. As the preferred bidder, Hyphen was selected for a 40-year deal to develop Namibia's 10 billion. Now, this is where the confusion comes in. The top part of the, let's say the headline
Headlines, yeah.
reads 10 billion Namibia dollars, but in the article it says 10 billion US dollars. So
Dis 'n redelike verskil.
daar is 'n redelike verskilletjie daarso. In the Tsau Cape National Park. Okay, so that's going to be interesting. Is energy becoming the foremost industry in terms of opportunities?
Wel, ek sê een ding vertel, sonder dit is daar nie veel oor nie. Sonder dit en sonder water het ons probleme.
Ja.
Jy weet.
Ja.
Maar in elk geval, ek sal tog dink dit is waar die fokus moet wees.
Okay,
Ons het nie 'n ander keuse nie.
right.
Vernywerhede die bestaan van ons elke dag se bestaan.
Yes.
Jy weet, maak nie saak in watter vorm. Of jy nou hout brand en of jy nou die son gebruik en of dit nou opgewek word deur kragopwekkers en dit is nodig.
Okay.
Jy weet. So definitief so. Nog 'n lekker storie oor die woestynleeu's, die aanpassing daarvan. Dit klink amper soos 'n James Bond movie.
Yes.
As jy dit lees. XPL-108. Woestynleeuwyfie pas haarself aan by die kus. Wat nou 'n lekker storie. Klink lekker. Maar sy's deel van 'n werpsel van dit was 3 wyfies wat in 2013 gebore is. Haar ma was XPL-45. In elk geval en hulle het 'n soort van hulle self aangepas by die kus. In die aand dan eet hulle en voer gaan jag, robbe en so meer.
Okay.
En dan bedags dan trek hulle binne land toe. En dis baie interessant dat hierdie kunsaanpassing het ook teweeggebring dat sy wegbeweeg van die hengelaars en hulle nie steur nie. Sy
Okay.
het uitgefigure luister, maar ek het dan my lewe en julle lewe.
Right.
So dis baie interessant en dit word gemonitor deur 'n satellietband wat natuurlik opgesit is, 'n halsband en dis geprogrammeer so ons kan sien of die wetenskaplikes kan sien wat gebeur, maar dis 'n lekker storie vir 'n Vrydag wat jy kan gaan oorlees en dan natuurlik die droogte toestand in Namibia. Dit gaan nie weg nie. En daar's 'n lang artikel oor die droogte toestand en stappe wat gedoen kan word om ons, die land, boere en so meer dalk deur hierdie tyd te help. Maar die beskikbare data toon dat dit die 5de droogste reenseisoen is vandat en ons praat nou van 1913 is hierdie die 5de droogste seisoen wat Namibia nou nog beleef het. Maar ons gaan ook daaroor gesels volgende week in ons omgewingsake. So dit is omtrent dit vir my Kaufee.
Dit is Vrydag. Is ons nie eintlik al veronderstel om partytjie te hou?
Ons gaan
Because we said
partytjie hou.
Food Friday.
Ons gaan partytjie hou.
I would love to call Marilyn, so I think
Ons kyk waar is Merlin.
Marilyn.
So ons gaan partytjie hou en dan gaan ons met Chef Terry gesels. Ons gaan nou 'n bietjie kos en wyn gesels.
Marilyn, 3
ja.
groot drafts en 3 onderwelsers.
Ja.
Asseblief.
Goed, dankie. Dankie Merlin, baie dankie. Merlin, is hier staan hier by ons en help ons.
She's our foremost waitress.
Ek dink wat nou belangrik is ons moet nou gou-gou eers met almal saamgesels wat wakker geword het en opgestaan het.
Okay, Karretjie Skarsens is aanlyn. Hy sê ook môre. Ons vriende is maar 'n bietjie stil daar buite. Rousseau Hill is ook op. Rousseau, jy
Môre,
kan maar
Rousseau.
gerus terugkom. Dat ons altyd soos ons altyd doen op 'n Vrydag ook met jou kan kuier. And furthermore, there are no comments. Everybody is kind of quiet.
Ja, dis miskien ek dink omdat baie mense weg is.
Okay.
Jy weet, en die tyd gebruik om soort van of by die kus te kuier of te gaan uit eet. Dit maak nie saak nie. Want ons weet ons gaan vanmiddag en vanaand gaan hulle die show kyk en oor die naweek,
Dis
want daar's een ding wat hulle nie mis nie en dit is hulle wil nie ons kos mis op 'n Vrydag nie.
sê.
Die heerlike kosies wat Chef Terry besig is om te maak. Ek kan nie wag nie. En ek moet vir jou eerlikwaar sê ek is eintlik al honger. Maar terwyl ons vir hom wag, wil ek dan net gou-gou hoor die sukses of geen sukses van jou pot gister.
Shall we talk about that after we take a commercial break?
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Kom ons doen gou so.
We've got to
Ons
pay the
vat-
bills.
Ja, kom ons sê gou hierso. Baie dankie aan Alpstad vir julle advertensie wat julle vir ons gestuur het en dat julle ingestem het om weekliks vir ons inligting te stuur. Daar's hierdie week se lekker menu tot en met vandag toe.
Smoked ice pine served with sauerkraut and green pea mash.
Ja. En
That's
Vrydag,
of course in
dis vandag.
Swakopmund.
Dit natuurlik dis. En dan vir die naweek, as jy nou nie al klaar jou vleisvoorraad gaan koop het, nie, moet jy by Jock toe vandag gaan draai maak. Hy is by 081 281 2421. Dis nou, ek dink ek moet na vanoggend 'n draaitjie gemaak gou-gou. Ek weet dis koud. Maar daar is daarom net niks so koud soos of so erg soos 'n whisky sonder 'n blokkie ys.
Met Asia.
Dit is nog waar nie, Kaffie. Al is dit koud. Ek bedoel,
Yes.
dis nie asof jy omdat dit nou winter is, haal jy die ys uit 'n whisky uit nie.
Nee.
Daar's iets
Nee,
wat
daar's altyd ietsie.
wat net werk. Goed, kom ons kyk gou-gou wie het ons nou nog wat ons moet voor alles.
Well, we've got to say hello to our friends Rent to Kill Namibia Pest Control.
Ja.
And for those of you who've got a pest problem,
storie oor cockroaches as jy
Ja.
nou bietjie gaan oplees.
okay,
Baie mense sê dat hulle eintlik nie 'n vuil dier is of 'n insek is.
right.
Ek weet dit raak 'n pes, dit
Right.
weet ek. Maar ek weet ook dat in van hierdie uitdaag programme,
Ja.
dan word cockroaches dan moet jy dit eet.
Okay.
Nou ek moet sê ek het een keer ek dink ek 2 geëet wat in oliegaar gemaak was. En dit was daar was niks.
But I mean horses
Dis
for
is Mopani.
tall horses for courses,
Ja, tall
courses for tall horses.
Ek sal dit nie eens 'n maaltyd sien. Is dit, Terry? Terry sê dit het vol proteïene.
It's a, but then you can
becoming the future protein source.
Soos Mopani wat.
but then you can eat locusts, springkane. Dan moet ons vir Zelly inkry.
Hulle doen, daar is mense wat locusts eet.
Ja.
Daar is mense wat dit eet.
Yes.
Praat van kossies. Ons is vir kosses. Ons kyk gou daar na die Windhoek Officers Club.
Ja,
Daai datum moet julle tog merk. Dis Saterdag die 22ste Julie.
dit gaan baie
Dan
nice
kan
wees.
julle met Antonie kontak maak by 081 441 2468. Pragtige ad daai wat daar design is. En kom ons kyk gou-gou wie sê ons nog voor hallo Kaffie. O hier kom eers
Hier kom Madeline.
hier kom ietsie
Madeline met die
vir
yskoue
vrae.
biertjies. Yes. Always time for a beer.
Ja.
No?
Verseker so. Ek dink ons het 'n hele klompie nou al van ons adverteerders het ons dankie. Daar is nog een of twee wat ons nou voor gaan dankie sê.
Yes, yes.
Dan kyk ons gou-gou ook, ek wil net vinnig noem dat in die eerste plek het ons 'n wonderlike uitsending gehad. Dit was Woensdag. Ons motoring Wednesday.
Okay.
Nou gister toe dat weet Kaffie by wat die syfers is. En nou alhoewel julle ons gaan dit ook nou vir julle sê. Want ek dink dit is belangrik dat julle kennis neem van hoe opgewonde ons is en word as ons na die syfers kyk en as ons die deelname kyk. En dan nog meer is dit die deelname van vriende na die uitsendings wat met mekaar ons uitsendings deel en vir mekaar stuur. Ons syfer Kaffie wat jy genoem het,
Ek was besig
check hom
hiermee.
gou daar so
I
vir
want
ons.
to give an
Ja.
updated figure there. So, first of all, we are over the 1,000 followers. Thank you very much,
Ja.
everybody.
ver
And
ook
then,
nou
yeah, we are now at 487 views. And let me have a look. And I think I might be mistaken here. Let me just have a look. We are on 485 views,
Yeah.
sorry, with 11 shares, 56 comments. Thank you so much. And that's just on Facebook. That's not even the figure on YouTube. So things are working out slowly but surely. Infostream Namibia, of course, your #1 platform when it comes to promoting private business and also promoting individuals. And we've been speaking this morning to two very big customers, and we're holding thumbs. Everything looks positive that they will be coming on board.
Ja, ja. En baie dankie vir die ouens, daai klop motorfiets ouens Woensdag. En baie dankie dat julle dit aangestuur het vir julle vriende. So onthou net, julle kan ons shows gaan kyk. As julle Chef Terry se vorige episode gemis het, verlede week Vrydag, gaan dood eenvoudig na die datum toe. Gaan kyk op Facebook of op YouTube. En gaan kyk na die lekker kos. Ons gaan nou weer met hom praat oor sy kos wat hy maak vir vandag. Maar dit is so eenvoudig soos dit. En toe ons nou hier sit en gesels Woensdag, het 'n klompie mense na die tyd gevra, vertel 'n bietjie vir ons hoe dit werk. Die
Ja.
advertensietariewe is verskriklik eenvoudig. So as jy belangstel, stuur vir ons 'n boodskapie of op die WhatsApp nommer of op ons persoonlike kontaknommers
Yes.
op by Facebook of Kaufee se hier op Messenger. Daar's soveel maniere wat jy met ons kan kontak maak. Die lekkerte is altyd sommer as jy live saam met ons gesels, dan kan ons jou help. Maak onmiddellik met jou kontak en ons kyk hoe ons jou kan deel maak van die familie.
So, Piet Spies sê, daar's 'n spesifieke persoon, ek kan nou nie die naam noem nie, en hy sê, in sy maltrawante wil hê die mense moet meer insekte begin eet, mag ek nooit so honger wees nie, vlieglarwes is ook net proteïene. Ja, Piet, the habit of eating insects is not so uncommon. I mean, I think the most eaten insect in Namibia is probably the mopani worm, isn't it? And, you know, especially in the north of the country, mopani worms have been a super duper dish when it comes to preparing them and, you know, the way that they're being prepared. A big source of protein, all that. Personally, I've got to say that I've tasted it once or twice, and it just didn't do it for me. But I can imagine that there are some people that actually absolutely love the taste.
Ja. En daar's mense wat natuurlik paddas eet, ook in die noord.
Oh yes, yes,
Jy weet,
bullfrogs.
Ja,
Bullfrogs.
veral die bullfrog. En daar's sekere tye van die jaar wat hulle letterlik geoes word.
Ja.
In die waar's dit die Oshonas.
Ja.
Jy weet, in die modder word hulle dan word gedroog. So ja, ek en natuurlik locust. Baie min mense weet dit. Ek dink amper daar is 'n locust wat ook giftig is. Ek praat onder korreksie.
Ja.
Maar daar is definitief wat geoes word, gedroog en geoes word. So dis deel van die voedselketting vir sommige mense.
Daar is nog steeds baie vog hier in die lug en dit is hoe ons kan sien hierso by ons biertjies wat ons drink. Die water wat so afloop, maar is dit nou nie tyd vir 'n yskoue bier?
Jy weet jy wat dit lyk baie lekker. Ek wil graag vir Chef Terry hier kry dat hy vir ons op 'n stadium net kon verduidelik van ons kosies, maar die ander ding wat my nou bietjie te mekaar maak is ons moet op 'n stadium die wyn ook proe.
Ja.
Dit is belangrik.
Maar dit doen ons volgens, according to Terry, we're doing that just before we have the food.
The food. Ja. Terry, kom sit hier eers hier by ons. En kan jy met jou kyk of daar nog mense is wat ons voor moet
Shall we move this?
kom ons skuif dit.
Yes.
Ek gaan
You can have yours over
hierdie
there.
gaan ons net so 'n bietjie skuif en dan gaan nou 'n bietjie nat wees hierso.
Yeah, we'll keep it. Let me just try and wash this up.
That's fine.
Ja.
Ons kan die bord daar sit. Kosbord.
Yeah.
Die kosbord.
So let me just
Bring jy die
clean this
kosbord.
up. Try and get this
So die van julle
ready
wat,
and presentable.
al wat ek weet van die kos is ons het besluit ons gaan daai tyd van die jaar in waar ons begin kyk
Whoa.
na lekker winters comfort food en so meer.
Yes.
Sê kom sit jy hier dan gaan ek die kamera so klein bietjie tilt laat ons na hierdie kos kyk.
Moet hierdie bord nou net 'n bietjie agtertoe skuif
ek
dat
gaan
hy
nou
nou
die
in
kamera
die
so-
prentjie inpas.
Ja.
Daar's hy.
Hier gaan hy nou in.
So we're just getting the camera ready. Today it is Mexican food on Infostream together with Chef Terry. And Dirk is busy zooming the picture out a little bit so that we can just get a little bit. Oh, there's a second bottle. Okay. So let's put this bottle over here. And we've got the wine glasses ready. Just trying to get everything a little bit organized. Maybe one day we can speak to Chef Terry on Food Fridays as to how to actually lay a table properly.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because I think there are a lot of people that might just not know how to lay a table the right way, isn't it?
It can be quite confusing, especially when you're
Yes.
having multiple meals, courses.
So, what is the maximum courses in a meal that you know of? Is it okay? Obviously, we know 3-course meals. Do you get 4-course meals, 5-course meals?
Get up to 5 course. You can even go 8 courses.
Wow!
So
Wow!
there's specialist restaurants overseas
Right.
where you have these gastronomic menus where the portions are extremely small, but you can have up to 15 courses.
And they all have a different table layout set up.
Set up with all its own cutlery and crockery.
Mm,
Sometimes it gets changed during service. Sometimes it's laid out when you arrive.
The one that fascinated me always the most is, and I saw this on television a couple of times, also a couple of still pictures. Remember the Queen?
Oh, yes.
When she had her formal dinner, that very long table, the preparation that it took in terms of laying that table, making sure
right.
everything is correct and all the cutlery is right and everything. Everything was touched with satin gloves and all that.
Maar dis seker daar se voorbereiding. Ek bedoel as jy so 'n maaltyd vir iemand doen soos die koningin of
Well, if it's done on a regular basis, it becomes a habit.
Yes.
You know, and it can be quite quick. What is the time-consuming part is actually going around and ensuring that every single knife
Right.
is positioned correctly.
Yeah.
Yes.
That there are no marks on it.
Yes.
That it is 1.5 centimeters from the edge of the table.
Right.
Even go to that point where they've got a ruler and they measure
ja.
the distances between the pieces of cutlery and from the edge of the table to the start of the piece of cutlery.
Yes.
All those type of things. So it goes into quite a in-depth.
It's come a far way from where I historically have heard that when Paul Kruger met the Queen, that apparently he took his tea and chucked it into his saucer and drank it out of there, and apparently the Queen was quite taken aback.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah, because
I thought she thought,
No.
that's a great idea, let me try
No,
it.
she was not angry at him at all, from
Yeah,
what I
but-
understand.
yeah.
Is because from what I understand is that, he did that because the tea was too hot and it's in his habit.
Yeah.
And so all that. And did you know that Paul Kruger at some stage also wore an earring?
Yes.
Nee, daar
There's a famous photo
Dit weet
of
ek van.
him where he's actually wearing an earring in those conservative South African time.
Maar onthou jy Kaufeee toe ons gepraat het oor tattoos
Yes.
en jewelry. In daardie jare, maar dit gaan terug na die 14de eeu. Toe in daardie jare was juweliersware vir mans en vrouens
Right.
en dit onder andere het ooringe ingesluit en so meer. Piercings en natuurlik tatoeëermerke was deel van die adelstand. En
Right.
ons dink dat die tatoeëermerke was net vir dronkvoels. Dis nie waar nie. In daai geskiedenis het ons destyds met julle gedeel toe ons oor tattoos gepraat het. Tatoeëring kuns.
Yes.
Dis wat ek wou sê. Kom ons kom terug na die kos toe.
Ja.
Dit lyk
It looks
en dit
absolutely
lyk
divine, doesn't
heerlik.
it?
Vertel ons, wat het ons hierso vandag?
Well, this is actually quite a quick and easy dish. I mean, it's taken me less than 40 minutes to put it together
Ja.
Okay.
from scratch.
Right.
And we've got some savory mince, which is seasoned with cinnamon and salt, pepper, paprika, a little bit of chili, hint of chili,
Ja.
and in it we've got some onions, we've got some black beans, tinned black beans.
Okay.
So you don't have to stand and boil them.
Moet hierdie af.
We soak them and boil them and until they're soft, and then up in a tin, add them to the mince, simmer it for 20 to 30 minutes,
Okay.
and it's done.
Right.
And then the taco shells.
Let me just take this away. For the picture,
All I've done is I've sliced some tomatoes, some onions,
yes.
chopped up some avocado, and we've got some lettuce
Yeah.
and sour cream and cheddar cheese. Put it all
Fantastic.
together in the taco shell, and there's your dinner.
Fantastic.
Lunch.
These taco shells, you actually get them pre-made. No, you can.
Pre-made. Yes.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
probably the easiest to do, is to buy them
Right.
pre-made. They are quite a tricky item to make,
Okay.
especially if you don't have a tortilla press and so on. Obviously the texture of the grain that is used,
Yes.
ours is a bit too either too fine or too rough, or you know, it's quite a it's quite different to the ones that the grain
Yes.
or the maize that is used in Mexico. So yeah, if you are in the mood for some, my mouth's watering. If you're in the mood for something quick and easy.
Okay.
I mean, I did this all on the braai. So
Yes, yes.
wow. So you know, it's a lovely camping meal
Dish.
as well.
Ja. Ja.
Yeah.
Ek dink altyd aan die maas en of pelle wat kuier. Wat iets gou 'n snack wil hê voor nou die groot braai.
Ja.
Of kinders wat honger is nie doen dit. Nou ek wil nou nie die produk spesifiek adverteer nie, maar jy kan dit koop. Jy kry
Taco kits.
die taco kit en dan kry jy die taco shells. Nou die taco kit het al die spices in wat jy nodig het.
Oh, really? So it's the
Yeah.
taco with
With
the
these-
spices
with
in
these-
everything. You
alles,
basically
alles.
just need
Yeah.
to add the mince
You add
and the
mince
cheese
and
that.
and the extras, but the seasoning is there,
Yeah.
so you get more of an authentic taste.
Right.
Ek
Right.
het byvoorbeeld jok doevenage is 'n stukkie vleis wat oorgebly het verlede Vrydag. En daai wildsvleis. Daai stukkie wat jy vir my gegee het ek in fyn dun snytjies gesny en daai wildsvleis, maar dit was soos fyn in die taco gesit. Kaffee, dit was die beste ooit.
Yes.
Well, that's what's fantastic about these tacos is you don't have to have mince.
Jy kan enige
Yes.
vleis sit.
Yes.
Hoender
If you've got
insit,
leftover braai vlees,
Yes.
Okay.
slice it up,
Right.
pan fry it with a bit of onions, tomatoes, add a bit of
Yeah.
taco seasoning to it,
Yes.
and there you go. You've got a lovely lunch or brunch for the from last night's braai. Then you can add fish to it. You can add pulled chicken, pulled pork. You can
Right.
Enige.
shrimps, prawns.
So, for example, if you've got leftovers of the grilled chicken from last night, then the next evening you can have,
tacos.
chicken tacos.
Heerlik.
I'll say.
Kom ons praat gou voordat ons gaan, want my mond water ook nou. Ons het twee lekker souse hier. Die een is chili pepper en die ander een is Teddy, wat is daai is net 'n ander smaak. Ook
Ja.
die een is mild, die een is warmer. Ja.
Mild, hot.
Okay. So daai het ons gaan Nabasco.
Yep. I'll put a little bit in the mince.
Ons gaan nou proe. En gaan jy vir
Great.
ons 'n wyntjie skink terwyl ons nou hierdie
Right.
gaan ons die wyn
So
saam met
wine is
kos
always
vat?
important.
Well,
Do we
take-
drink wine
again-
before we eat the
Again,
tacos?
we're going to do it like we did last week. We're
Yeah.
gonna
Yes.
taste the wine first,
Ja.
Okay.
and then we're gonna have a bite, and then taste the wine with the food
Ja. Okay.
and see the difference.
Right. And what Chef Terry taught us last week, you always pour the wine to where the bubble basically
Yeah.
begins for the tasting.
For tasting, well, not but also if you're drinking wine, you can
Right.
you can pour it about a finger higher.
Okay.
You want the wine to be able to breathe in the glass.
Aha.
So if your glass is too full, let me
Right.
put that over there.
Yeah, sure.
The glass becomes narrow as it goes to the top.
Ja.
Yes.
There's less room for the wine to breathe
Fascinating.
to because it's been bottled up. It needs time to release its aromas and its flavors.
Yes.
So if the glass is too full, you're not going to get that.
Ja.
It's,
Wow.
And then you want to be able to, you want it to be able to breathe. You want it to be able to almost aerate it a little bit. Just
So
to
we're
release
doing
those
this to kind of get oxygen in it.
and
Or-
also to see the viscosity on the glass, the consistency of the liquid, which is which this one's nice.
So the slower it goes down, the
The more viscose is the of the wine.
okay. So the heavier it is.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Right.
Daar's hy, maar interessant. Kom kyk hom.
And then we smell to try and get aromas of what? Pepper, chocolate, everything that's being used in wine.
Yeah.
And
But
obviously,
each person will smell something differently.
Dat is
in
baie
wine,
waar.
which is
Wow.
Baie waar.
and on a nice cold day like this, we're having the Tall Horses Merlot in 2023.
This is quite a sweet wine. If you
Ek
think about
geniet
red
dit
wines.
baie, maar ek geniet dit baie. Dis
But you can
heerlik.
taste that plum.
Ja.
Yeah.
There's definitely ripe plum, red
Yes.
plums.
Maar ek hou van daai oak. Daai oukness wat deurkom.
Ja.
Jy weet, so 'n bietjie verouderd. 'n Bietjie soos 'n chalk. Kom ons probeer.
Nee, Piet,
Are we going to try?
Piet, ons drink nie wyn uit 'n bierbeker nie. Ons
Dan-
drink wyn soos
Weet die bierbekers is eers een kant gesit. Ons sal nou aan hulle aandag gee, moenie bekommer nie. Hierdie is
wow.
hier is ons tacos.
Mhm.
Hierin is Teddy, wat het ons alles hierin?
Dis hy.
There's a little bit of onion,
Ja.
lettuce, tomato,
Ja.
avocados,
Ja.
cheese, sour cream,
Sour cream.
and a bit of the salsa sauce that comes with the taco kit.
Okay.
Please, sir, may I have some more?
See,
I feel
somebody
like
with an
Oliver
empty
Twist. Yeah.
And then some of the mince and black beans that
Black
we've
beans.
made.
Daar sien.
So
Chef Teddy, baie reis en dankies.
Right.
Vir julle by die huis.
always a
This
pleasure.
is
Maak seker julle maak hierdie naweek. En op die houer, op
is
die taco box is daar
divine.
ook lekker resepte,
Wow.
maar hier gaan hy vir Vrydag Food Friday op Infostream.
Do you eat tacos like from the side or it's like watermelon, like this? It's like a harmonica, isn't it?
It is.
Do.
My maat eet altyd so.
Wow.
You got the richness, the
Maar is waar, nee.
butteriness of the avocado. You got that sour cream coming through.
Yes.
Oh,
You
dit
got
saam
the
met
savory mince and beans and
die black beans het 'n interessante smaak. Ek love it.
Don't I just love my job?
now taste your wine.
I will do that right away.
And you'll notice that the tannin, that woodiness, is not as intense, but you're still getting the fruity flavor coming through.
Absolutely delicious. Marilyn,
Dis interessant.
Marilyn,
Isn't it?
Dis baie interessant.
can we get some serviettes, please? Yes, please.
Sê weet. Wat ek van hierdie kos hou. Soos verlede week. Dis 'n morsige hapie.
This now tastes different
Ja, dit does.
because of the food.
Ja.
How cool is that? Huh? How cool is that? You guys have to try this. Tacos with a Merlot, then you drink a little bit of the Merlot before you take a bite, and you let the flavors just basically lie in your mouth and what, and then you take some time, you take another sip. The wine tastes completely different from the first sip. Very cool.
Dis baie waar.
Very cool.
Ons gaan nog eendag met
Now you know why I like my job.
That's why we like to have you on the show. En ons deel dit met julle. En nie net Namibië nie, maar die hele wêreld vol.
Yes.
Ek weet Piet gaan natuurlik hierdie naweek aan die Vrystaat. Gaan hy tacos probeer, maar ek dink hy gaan sy eie tacos maak soos ek hom ken. Maar in elk geval, wat ek vir julle kan sê, hierdie is 'n lekker happie vir 'n koue middag, vir die koue aand.
Ja.
Ek wil amper sê hierdie word 'n vol maaltyd as jy 2 of 3 eet. Natuurlik, maar dis 'n lekker happie vir die middag as jy vanaand nog ietsie gaan braai. Jy weet.
And what lekker is, if you can't find taco shells, don't stress.
Over there.
Tortillas work.
Thank
Then you've
you.
gotta-
Thank you so much.
You can heat them up in a pan. You fill them, fold them in half, and you've got a soft taco.
Oh.
Tortillas,
En jy kry tortillas ook, ja.
yeah. Flour tortillas, maize tortillas. Nowadays you get whole wheat tortillas. So you don't have to have a proper taco shell.
Yes.
You can use a substitute.
I'm
You can even, I've made this and I've put it in a pita pocket.
Ah, yes.
Dis ook al nou.
We need to also maybe discuss, is there a difference between a pita and a shawarma? Or is a shawarma actually kind of a pita?
It's look, it all originates from the same region,
Ja.
and it's different names for the same dish at the end of the day.
Right.
The spices might be a little different. The accompaniments might have changed. But yeah, you know, a shawarma.
Yes.
It's a pita pocket. It's filled with a meat that's normally marinated, normally lamb. It's marinated in lemon and oregano and garlic and olive oil.
Okay.
And a pita pocket is if you're having a
Sê daai. Ja.
yeah,
Okay.
they're basically the same. You know, it's the same concept.
Yes.
Just shawarmas tend to be done on a vertical steak.
Yes.
Rotating.
Right.
With heat from the side. But your pita pockets can be filled with very thin slivers of beef or lamb or chicken that are very quickly flash fried or grilled on skewers over open fire and then removed and put into the pocket.
Tacos typically come from the Mexico, Spanish
yes,
side.
Ja.
No?
Ja. Ja.
We'll get to Greek food way later in our Food Fridays presentation. We spoke about that already. Do you know what I find interesting about tacos? I've been counting my bites now.
Ja.
A taco, like, it looks like as if it's so small and you can basically just get 3 bites out of it. Not at all.
No.
This is my 7th or my 8th bite. If you take a normal hamburger, you're also only going to get 7, 8, 9, 10 bites out of it. So, depending on what you feel like, but you can literally compare this to the same volume of food as a hamburger.
Dis 'n koffie, jy's heeltemal reg. Weet jy wat?
Nou.
Ek sê mos vroeër vir julle en vir nou materie ook dit bespreek. As jy 2 of 3 tacos eet,
Ja.
dan onthou nou saam met die mince,
Right.
saam met die black beans, saam met jou eie tamatie en die kaas. Dis 'n vullende gereg.
Baie.
Hy kan vir jou lekker hou tot vanaand 7:00 8.
Ja, ja.
En ek dink is relatief gesond. Regtig waar.
If you think there's not even half of this is filled with mince. The rest is all
Yes.
lettuce, tomatoes, onion, avocado.
I can guarantee you 2 of these and you'll feel very satisfied.
As jy so 'n pak koop. En ek probeer nou vinnig daar kyk, ek kan nie dis bietjie agter die botteltjies. Maar daar's 'n hele klompie van hierdie tacos wat klaar 12. So vir 'n familie van 2 of 3 is dit genoeg kos. En kyk hoeveel minste het oorgebly, maar ek is bly dit het oorgebly.
Maar ja.
Dankie Kaffee, jy mag.
Sorry?
Ek is bly dit het oorgebly want ons gaan nog tacos eet. Verseker. En ek sou sê uit dit totaal al die ingredients wat ek gekoop het, dink ek was die bedrag so om en by 345. Maar nou moet jy onthou. Daar's 4 eie,
Right.
4 tomaties. Mins daar's 'n hele 'n sakkie met gemengde slaaiblare. Daar's die sourcream is oor. Die black beans is 'n paar rand.
There's an avocado left over.
Avos, 2 avos,
okay,
een is oor.
yes.
I only used 1 tomato. I used 1.5 onions.
Ja,
I used the mince.
ja,
So
And I mean, look at the
a little bit of
leftovers.
cheese,
ja.
a little bit of sour cream,
Yes.
and you've got a meal. You've got at least 2 or 3 meals out of this dish.
Wow.
As jy nou 'n gewone taco sou gaan bestel het of 2 tacos by 'n restaurant, praat jy maklik van 125, 145
Exactly.
vir 2 tacos.
Exactly.
En vir daai bedrag het jy 12 wat jy kan maak en jy het nog van die bestanddele wat oorgebly het, die tamatie, die eie, die sourcream, die slaaiblare, die kaas. So eintlik is dit ja, dis bekostigbaar.
En hierdie wat oor is.
Ja.
Môreoggend 'n omelet.
O ja ja.
Oh,
ja.
yes, yes.
Of 'n lekker breadjie.
Or toasted sandwiches.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you've got,
So you're actually catering for more than one meal. You're
Definitely.
catering, let's say, for dinner
Ja.
and also for breakfast
Ja.
at the same time.
Ons het op 'n stadium 'n reeks gehad. Chef Terry nog by die ou radiostasie. Het ons gepraat oor quick affordable, ons het
Meals,
die
ja.
budget meals vir mamas en papas. En ek moet nou vir julle een ding sê, ons sit in 'n tyd en ons kyk na die kospryse en ons kyk wat ons kan bekostig uit daai maand se mandjie, ek noem dit die maandmandjie, of hierdie tipe van gerye vir 'n naweek, 'n lang naweek met die kinders aan boord, is budget food konsep, comfort food, budget food, ons gaan met Nick Diener daaroor gesels, word al hoe belangriker. Dat jy, as jy dink, nie kyk net ek koop nie, maar eerder wat wil ek eet met dit wat ek koop.
Ja.
Anders dan gaan jy net baie weggooi.
Ja.
En hierdie is 'n tipiese voorbeeld daarvan. Julle moet dit asseblief deel, like Infostream, share dit met julle pelle en stuur julle vrae. Ons het vir Chef Terry in die agtergrond altyd, as hy nie altyd op die show is, want hy is ook baie besig.
Ek dink ons moet nou gou 'n commercial break vat.
Kosie,
Want ons vergeet partykeer omdat ons so lekker gesels. Dat ons uit-
Wie sê ons
Ek dink ons moet nou eers 'n bietjie praat oor ons mobile diagnostic technicians.
Ja.
For those of you who need to fix your cars or there's something wrong perhaps electronically with your
Ja.
motor vehicle, you don't know what it is, all you need to do is just go to mobile diagnostic technicians. They come to your place where you are and they basically plug in the computer and they check out what is wrong.
Ja.
Then in sad times of the family, if there is perhaps somebody who passed on, somebody who has basically gone to the other part of the end of life, please be in touch with Fern Funeral Solutions. You can be in touch with Abigail Smith. She's a funeral consultant. You can reach her on the number 0816249191. And Abby is absolutely fantastic. She's been one of my favorite interviewees on this show. And you can even prepare in terms of this, should there be a need, or I'm sure one day there might be a need in terms of your family where things need to be done if somebody passes on. She arranges everything in terms of dealing with the physical funeral people, home affairs, certificates that need to be sorted out. So be in touch with Fern Funeral Solutions, Abby, at 0816249191.
Ja. En dan wil ons ook net weer dankie sê vir Andre, van Auto Traders, maak seker dat julle hierdie jong man skakel. Ook 'n chef in sy eie reg, maar hy help met die koop en verkoop van voertuie. Ons weet hy was onlangs sommer vinnig oor Suid-Afrika om te gaan help met 'n voertuig wat moet teruggaan vir registrasie en of hiernatoe kom. Is 'n komplekse ding as jy nie weet wat jy doen nie. So maak seker dat julle met hom kontak en dankie Andre, jy maak seker dat elke dag het ons die koerante. So Kaufeee, daar's weer terug.
So we've got some friends that are online currently, and ons wil net hierso ook vir Zelly sê, sy sê soet rooiwyn gee lekker kopseer. Piet sê hy gaan definitief van die tacos probeer. Zelly vra, maar ek moet hier na die vraag moet ek nog 'n bietjie inligting gee. Sy vra Terry, hoe lank kan 'n mens spices hou voordat dit as oud beskou word? Want karretjies wil dit ook graag weet. En dan sê Piet Spies, ek bære my curry mengsel in die vrieskas. Ek dink dit bly langer vars en dit kry nie miete nie. En dan sê Rousseau Hill, whole spices eers 10 maande omtrent die beste. Ground spices hou meeste van hulle flavors vir so 2 jaar. Whole spices sal na
dis
10
baie.
maande meeste flavors nog hou vir so 3 jaar. Jou blends is ook so 2 jaar. Is there a kind of a, because the question being asked, when it comes to these spices,
Vraag. Ek het al gewonder.
does it come to a point where you like look at all the old spices that are in the back of the kitchen cupboard? Remember those? Because we just don't see them. And we tend to use all the flavors and everything that's just in the front.
Dis
So,
waar. Dis
Tim,
waar.
when do they get regarded as being
Look,
expired?
One thing about spices is, I mean, you can use them for you can have them for an extended period of time.
Right.
You will notice that your spice is old when you have to put in 4 times the amount to get to the flavor. So they start to lose their flavors.
Okay.
And once they get to that point,
yes.
then you know your spice is now too old to cook with. Then you can get rid of it.
Maar dis nie 'n kwessie van 'n dag of 2 nie.
No.
Nee,
It takes a long time.
It takes 2 years.
The spices are dried, so they're dried, and then normally they are treated in one form or another,
Ja.
and they trap the essential oil
Yes.
of the spice in within itself.
Okay.
So what happens is when you heat them up by frying them, adding them to stews and whatnot, you're rehydrating it, you're releasing the oils.
Okay.
Ja.
So the older it gets, the less ability it has to rehydrate and to release those oils.
Right.
And that's when you start losing flavor.
Okay.
So you'll
this
notice
is
that when you open a packet of paprika or a bottle of paprika,
Yes.
you use it the first time, and then a year or two later, you find it
Sure.
in the back of the cupboard, you use it,
Right.
and you think, but this had a lot more oomph
Oomph in it.
to what it is now.
Because it's funny when, especially me myself, when I take the spices, I kind of always shake it or keep it more or less to the same thing, depending on how big the pot is and whatever it is, and then So what you're
consistent
saying,
application kind
yeah.
of thing.
So you taste it, and then later on you realize you've added your volume, your bit, and then you say, but hang on a moment. Where is the paprika now?
Yeah.
And aha.
Yeah.
So there you go. Or can you taste it by hand?
right.
perhaps?
You can. Look, the other
Neem
thing
dit
is,
vir 'n foto neem.
the other thing is
Ag, ja,
the spices are dry. Okay, and when they come into contact with moisture, that's when they start to react and release their oil. essential
Okay.
oils. So if you are seasoning food,
Right.
you add the amount of spice that it says you should add,
Right.
and then you've got to cook it first
Yes.
before you taste it,
Yes.
because it still has to release its aromas and flavor.
So would you suggest, let's say, because I've got some friends that mix their own spices, okay? Is it a good idea to try and keep the mixture of spices in lower volumes, depending on how long you use it and how you want to keep it?
You can do that.
Because let's say you do a 10-kilogram bucket, then you run the risk of all of that because it just
Well, it all
stands so long.
depends on how you store it. If it's in a airtight container
Okay.
and it's in a cool, not a cool environment,
Yes.
it'll last longer.
Okay.
If it's standing open in a, like with these spice jars with the holes in the top of the lid,
Yes.
it's going to deteriorate much faster because
Okay.
of the moisture and the humidity and whatnot that you find in kitchens.
Right.
It's warm. If they're sealed in vacuum bags, even longer, because you're removing the oxygen, you're removing anything that could deteriorate the product, and it's vacuum sealed.
Very cool.
The other thing is, if you're spicing, you should never spice over a hot pot or food that's
Waar daar
on the stove.
stoom is.
You put it into a dish or into a teaspoon, and
dan-
then add it.
That's
Because every
it.
time you're holding it over, you are allowing steam into that bottle.
So what are you saying? We take a plate, do our mix,
Yeah.
salt, pepper, and everything in one go.
Or you can put it in the bowl and you can take it with your fingers, or you can take it with a teaspoon and you sprinkle it over.
While the pot is steaming.
Yeah, while you're cooking, you can add it, but never directly over the pot, because
Dis
that also
ook-
That is
Wel, dis
cool.
ook 'n dis ook
Wow.
Daar het ek nou iets gedoen.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely try and do
often
that.
when you go to shake the salt, it's all lumpy and clogged up.
Yes.
It's from the moisture that's gotten into the salt. From
Weet jy-
shaking it over the pot.
Dis baie interessant. Ek dink dit is baie waardevol dat ou dit so gebruik.
Ja.
Jy weet.
I'm changing my whole cooking
Nee,
method.
verseker, ek dink ek en jy
He's
moet,
giving away his
I think
the course
coffee-
content here.
Ek- Well,
maybe we need to.
weet jy Kaufee, ek en jy hou van kos maak en ons hou van kuier saam met vriende, maar ek het nog altyd gedink en ek het dit al gesê. Ek dink iewerster moet ek en jy, want Terry bied so 'n kursus aan
Yes.
vir die home chef.
Right.
Ek dink is hoeveel episodes. Hoeveel aande is dit kursus? Is dit 4?
Saterdagoggend.
Ja, en dan gaan ons doen ons daai kursus.
Okay.
Dis 4 Saterdae waar ons al daai basics leer. En ek dink, kan jy imagine ons doen dit, dis Infostream se 2 aanbieders doen die Silver Spoon Academy se kursus.
Yes.
I Ek dink ons sal so trots wees.
Very.
Ons gaan want as twee aan daar's geen ander aanbieders in Namibia. Twee social media presenters doing a full course en ons kan daarna daaroor gesels. Want ons brag, ons het klaar bragging rights vir Food Friday. So ek dink dit gaan awesome wees. Wat sê jy, Chef Terry?
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan.
Ek wil net vir julle sê dat daar baie van ons kykers is wat ook as hulle aan wyn dink, dan en veral as die manne so bymekaar sit, dan praat hulle oor wyn en ek het eendag die vraag gehoor wat iemand het gesê, nou as jy en jou vrou dink en jy so aan 'n wyn dink of een van die cultivars, waaraan dink jy? Jy weet, in die een ou sê daar aan die een kant, hy sê nee, ek dink my vroukie is 'n Merlot.
Okay.
Ek hou van daai effense van daai fruity en daai oak flavor. Jy weet, as hy naby my is, jy weet. En die ander een sê nee, ek dink sommer aan Tassenberg. Hy sê hoekom? Hy sê nee, hulle kom in sulke papsakke, groot containers en meer hoe beter. Jy weet, en daar sit so 'n skaam ouetjie daar in die hoek, sy naam is Dirkas. En hy sê vir hom nou Dirkas, as jy nou aan 'n vrou dink, of jou vrou dink, wat sou jy haar noem? En dit was Chateau Libertas. En hulle sê hoekom? Ek sê want dit staan daar op die bottel. En die neergelê word, sal dit pragtig verder verouder. Ek wil net julle sê, kies julle, maak julle keuses oor wat julle dink.
Okay, so we're just going to go for a commercial break, and then we are going to have a look at the comments, so don't go away.
Daar gaan ons. Ons wil sommer net, ek dink ons sê vir Cleaning Masters vandag, happiness op hierdie Vrydag, vir Wiek. Wiek verkoop ook altyd lekker biltong. En dan, Kaufeee, wie sê nog?
If you would like to sell your stuff on an online auction, then all you need to do is just go to iBid Agri.
Yeah.
This is not only an auction site, this is a sales and purchase site. You can just go and register at iBid Agri, and you can go and buy and sell on that site. So check that iBid Agri website out.
Daar is hom. So baie dankie vir julle.
Ons het baie interessante kommentaar.
Nou maar kom ons luister, kom ons hoor wat hulle sê.
Okay, Zelly sê baie dankie, sê het nou iets geleer. She's referring to your spice usage.
Spice, right.
And I think Karikis has got an interesting thing here. Because I guess the longevity of spices also depends on where you live. Want hy sê, hier by die kus bly die spices nat.
Yes, there's a lot more moisture in the air.
Yes.
It's misty more often than not.
Right.
So yeah,
And we would like to keep them dry, is
you
it?
want to keep them dry.
Okay.
So there is a classic case of in a Ziploc bag in the freezer,
Okay.
or
Right.
one.
Is daar waarde in wat die ou mense, ek onthou by die kus en ek verwys na ouma en oupa wat in Struisbaai gebly het. En ons het vir baie jare uit ons as familie daar vakansie gehou. Was die spices vir al die sout en peper en daai tipe van goed was in hout houers gesit.
Ja.
Houthouer met 'n dekseltjie wat knus pas.
Dit is
Met ander woorde, hy het baie, jy moes hom nogal trek om hom oop te maak, maar alles was hout. Daar was niks in blikke nie of in sakke nie.
Yep, yeah.
So alles, selfs die mieliemeel was in houtbokse wat mooi toegemaak is.
Nou Rousseau Hill.
Ja.
Hy is natuurlik een van ons ander contributing
Chefs, ja.
chefs. Hy sê spices kry miete in want alle spices word volume gegee deur meel by te voeg. Okay, so suiwer spices is amper onbekostigbaar.
Yeah.
Wow, because you know those tubs that you get with garlic in them?
Garlic powder.
No. Let's
flake
call it
garlic.
the fruit. No, the ones that are standing in your
Yes,
fridge.
Yeah.
From what I understand, help me right, is that there's a lot of potato in there.
No, it's not potato. It's turnip.
Turnip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Turnip has got a fiery taste to it.
Okay.
A bit of a peppery taste to it. So you don't pick it up. Potatoes are starchy. So,
Yes.
If you cook with it or you eat it, you'll pick up that starchiness in the potatoes. But it's turnips.
Okay.
And what turnip does is it absorbs the garlic flavor.
Right.
But you can tell when it's not pure garlic because when you fry it or you cook it without any other ingredients in the pan, you'll notice some of the product becomes translucent because garlic is part of the onion family.
Yes.
So the garlic cooks translucent, but the turnip doesn't. You keep it stays white. So you have these white flecks.
Well,
that's
en ek het net gister het 'n garlic en nou ek het dit glad nie geweet.
Yeah.
En toe jy dit nou sê, toe dink ek, weet jy?
Why, if you really are a garlic lover and all that, you use the fresh cloves. Yeah.
What I do is I grind it down
Okay, okay, julle is
I
reg.
grind it down to a paste. I put
Yeah.
it in a bottle and I fill the bottle up with oil.
Mm-hmm.
And you can cook. You can literally take the oil
Yes.
and use the oil, and the garlic is sitting at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you just
Pour the oil in, and
Yeah.
the oil becomes the garlic
because the oil is being
flavor.
infused with the aromas of the garlic.
Da, 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 da. That's why it's important to watch Infostream.
Ek dink nog 'n ander lekker chat gaan wees want ek wil bitter graag leer. En dit is wanneer gebruik jy sonnebloemolie, wanneer gebruik jy olyfolie en wanneer gebruik jy kokonaatolie? Of laat ek nie sê wanneer nie,
All the different types of
hoe gebruik jy dit en by watse kosse gebruik jy dit? Want ek weet sekere olies het 'n kookpunt of 'n brandpunt
Ja.
en die
that's higher
ander
than
het
others,
nie.
Yeah. It's where it starts to smoke
Yeah.
and burn.
Yeah.
That's, and some oils have got a higher smoking point than other oils.
Kaffie, jy kyk wie gesels saam.
Ek kyk wie gesels saam hier. So Karen Malan is op die show. Sy sê môre julle het 'n
Hi,
lekker
Karen.
koue bloemfontein. Hoop julle het 'n lekker sopresep vir ons. Die soppe kom nog. Jy
hulle
moet
kom,
net elke
Karen, hulle
Vrydag
kom, ja,
kyk.
ja.
Piet sê, okay, dankie. Hy het dit ook nie geweet nie. He's referring to the garlics and the spices. Nooit te oud om te leer nie. I'll tell you the information today is just fascinating. So I want to tell you what I did yesterday.
Asseblief, want ek wag nou al die heel dag vir daai.
And I've got the sniffle, so I apologize.
Dis 'n tissuetjie.
Miskien moet ek
ja.
net ene van hierdie vat.
Kan ons nou nog daar terwyl Kaffie daar ietsie afgee, kan ons nog daai wyntjie nader kry?
Ja, met liefde. Sorry, mag ek die bottel sommer so
ek gaan nog
aanplaas?
hierdie taco
Yeah.
in die bord
There you
sit,
go.
want ek wil hom ek wil net hier vir ons 'n bietjie plek maak.
My dears is toe.
Maar wat julle nie weet is ons hier klaar is met die show, dan eet ons die ander tacos.
Ja. Okay, so 'n pel van my. Wynand Reed, but it's basically what he's done. I told him the day before yesterday that I was going to make an oxtail pot
Ja.
at the Kaufee's house. And he said to me that he had, because he's in the hunting and conservation industry, he at one stage, a year or two ago, they had some Spain people, tacos,
Ja.
right, Spanish people, for a hunting trip. And they took out some oxtail. And the Spanish people told them, give us the oxtail, we will make the dish for you in a Spanish way.
Ja.
And what they basically did, before you take your oxtail, and usually we're in the habit of, putting the oil in, taking the onions, and then putting the oxtail in and browning the oxtail and all that kind of stuff. You basically braai your oxtail before you put it in the pot. So in other words, you start your fire, your braaivleisvuur. Of as jy 'n gasbraaier het soos die Kaufee's, dan het ek 'n smoking device wat ek daar insit. En toe braai ek die oxtail vir 'n rukkie. So I basically browned the oxtail on an open flame. And obviously if you do it with wood or charcoal, then you still get even more smoky flavor.
Ja.
And we then subsequently put it in, I still fried a couple of onions in the pot and then put the meat in and all that. And I've got to tell you, a total different taste.
Yes, definitely.
My best friend Zelly out there, she and I, we had almost differentiating opinions. We both liked it, but because it tasted so different than our traditional oxtail, we said that we'll keep on revolving it in a certain way. But I've got to be honest with you, I loved it way more than the traditional way that we used to do it over all
You get
these
more
years.
flavor. It's like
Yeah,
the
for
Italians
sure.
when they make a savory mince.
Ja.
Yeah.
They actually there's some recipes where they brown the mince
Yeah.
and then they put the mince into the pan. They put the whole pan into the oven and
Yeah.
they roast it to
Yes.
develop even more flavor.
Yes.
Ja.
And
Yes.
and add red wine and tomatoes
Yeah.
and back into the oven and before they actually make a savory bolognese,
Weet jy,
gives a completely
yeah.
different flavor.
Kaffie het stuur daai inligting vir my oor die oxtail wat hy nou eers gaan braai. En toe onthou ek jare gelede by 'n oom van my, Sissel Ferreira.
Yeah.
As hulle potjie kos maak en hulle het byvoorbeeld lamnek en sulke tipe van goed. Dan vat hulle al daai vleis en hulle gooi dit op die vuur,
Okay.
op 'n rooster.
Right.
Op 'n rooster. Gooi hulle dit op die rooster
Right.
en dan met redelike grouwe sout word dit gesprinkel, word gedraai terwyl die pot warm word.
Okay.
En dan kom daai goed van die vuur af, van daai kool af met die grouwe sout wat oorgespring, gaan so in die pot in.
Yes.
Nou al wat ek kan dink is, kyk, baie ouens in Chef Terry het ook eendag van gesê, as jy 'n pot maak of sop maak jy seker dat jou vleis lekker bruin braai
Okay.
binne in die pot. Nou ek dink die konsep is dieselfde. Al wat gebeur is jy kry die woodiness
Ja.
Yes.
van die vuur in jou vleis, maar die beginsel bly dieselfde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maar wat sê jy, Chef Terry?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, we cooked on open fires in early years.
Ja.
Sure.
So
Sure.
obviously, you know, there are countries or there are regions where they still cook extensively on open fire,
Ja.
Okay.
and that's where that whole smokiness comes through and adds a different dimension to the flavor dynamics of your dish. So
Ja, ja.
it is definitely very possible.
Ek moet sê Mona het gister vir my baie lekker spices by ons sop gegooi. Nadat ons dit as 'n spanpoging aangewend het. Baie dankie. En ek hoop daar is nog van daai sop oor, want ek dink wat baie lekker gaan werk is saam met 'n taco
Yes.
vanmiddag is so lekker potjie
Baksop.
sop. Kyk,
Ja.
ek dink so lekker dik sop met so 'n taco in steede van 'n broodjie.
Yep.
100%.
So we've still got some friends on the show this morning. Frank Bokmuil say Infostream Namibia vat 'n fire kleintjie dat help vir die koue. Ja, ons sê dat to Frank. When you said this, I immediately ordered us 3 Underbergs just to
Dankie,
keep the
dankie.
heat up a little bit. En dan Clinty Trusky. Hy is van Kaapstad.
Hey.
Hy is 'n baie groot vriend van ons.
Kaapenaars.
Ja. En hy gaan seker nou baie lekker rugby kyk met sy vroutjie hierdie naweek. Hy sê môre Kaufeee en Dirkas, maters, ek maak Sondag okstel.
Ja.
So Clinton
Daai
stuur
keer, ja.
vir ons jou foto's. Ek weet nie of jy jou okstel eers gaan braai op die vuurtjie of wat jou planne is nie, but let us know. En dan
Ja.
Piet sê 'n pot gemaak op kole proe ook anders as een wat op gas
Ja,
hom.
ja.
Heeltemal
Nee, verseker,
heeltemal
verseker,
reg.
verseker.
Heeltemal reg.
Koffie Klint in Kaapstad.
Mm.
Klint kan ek 'n voorstel maak. Met daai okstel. Kry vir jou 'n Tall Horse Merlot.
Yes.
Want dit sê hier agter, waarvoor is dit ideaal? Enjoy at length with favorite red meat grills, roasts, casseroles or full flavored cheeses.
Wow.
Red meat grill, roasts, casseroles,
Ja.
'n Merlot. En dan laat weet jy vir ons, stuur vir ons foto's Klint. En dan laat weet jy vir ons hoe dit afgegaan met 'n Tall Horse. Net 'n voorstel. Jy dalk jou gunsteling wyntjie in elk geval. So dit maak nie saakie. Ons is trots om hier op die show van die Suid-Afrikaanse wyne te geniet en bekostigbare wyne.
Yes.
Ja.
Ons het vriende uit Swakopmund, Freddy Mills, hy sê sien julle die naweek in Windhoek. O, Freddy, jy het my nou eintlik bang gemaak, maar ja, kom Boeta, kom. Hy sê Shark Tank môre, dis natuurlik by Sharkie se huis. Ons berei onsself almal voor daarso vir die lekker rugby. And yeah, those are the comments for today. As far as our advertisers, I think we've got them all through. Almal het daarso deelgeneem, baie dankie. Thank you for all you supporters. Mark says Clinty, klein Vin Diesel Kaapstad, but Clinty always reminds us of Vin Diesel. Mannekaap is vol liefde.
Dan vir die girls met 'n foto van Klint.
Hy sê daar's groot finals vir môre. Daar het 'n paar Namibiërs al afgevlieg wat ek weet. Charles Venter en sy vroutjie het afgevlieg. Hulle verkoop vinniger daai kaartjies as 'n rock show. Klomp name op manne dag geniet. Go Stormers. Ja, Go Stormers. Make us proud. En dan net ons vir Madeline hierso. Sy bring vir ons laaste onderberg vir die show. En op wie drink ons dit nou?
Op Chef Terry.
Op Chef Terry.
Op Chef Terry, want ek dink Chef Terry het oor van die begin van Infostream af.
Ja.
Al wat hy nog kort is, Ek en jy het eintlik 'n
met Jackie
belofte.
praat.
Ek en jy het eintlik 'n belofte
Ja,
gemaak.
ja. Don't
Ons het
worry.
gesê ons gaan vir hom 'n chefsbaadjie maak met Infostream.
Yes. So
Nou,
we'll.
ek wil net een ding vra, Kaffie. Chef Teddy, is daar 'n verskil tussen 'n swart chefsbaadjie en 'n wit chefsbaadjie? En daar's 'n
In
rede
terms
hoekom
of
ek vra.
uniform.
Ja.
The when the uniform was first introduced
Yeah.
to the kitchens,
Yes,
the kitchens were always in the basement of the hotels,
that's correct.
where the boiler room was, because
Oh,
they were all coal stoves.
yes.
Hot water obviously was needed in the kitchen,
Okay.
so there was a lot of soot in the air, and
Roet,
yeah,
roet, steenkool roet.
and it was hot and it was dingy and it wasn't the best working environment. And a chef by the name of Kaufeee,
Right.
he's known in our circles as the king of chefs and the chef of kings. Frenchman,
Right.
Auguste Escoffier.
Right.
And he said he was in the military at one point, and he introduced the whole brigade system in the kitchen. the
Okay.
rank system in the kitchen, so that people knew what they were doing and who had to report to who.
Right.
And the double-breasted jacket, because these are double-breasted.
Yeah.
So you've got 2 layers of protection here
Ja.
on the front. It was to prevent from the hustle and bustle, water or
Of
oil.
burn or oil, ja, sulke
You
daai,
had
ja.
time to get
ja.
your jacket off
Yeah.
before it reached your skin.
Okay.
The long sleeves were to prevent your arms from burn marks.
Ah, so that is safety feature
Yes.
to it.
The necktie that I'm wearing was it was designed so that it would help catch the sweat and drip that runs down from working on in the hot kitchens.
Okay.
And then we got the torque, the hat, which is there. It was to keep, also for a safety reason, to keep your hair and whatnot out of the food and things.
Yes.
And they would take flour bags, wet them, and put them on their head to keep their heads cool. And it got then developed got converted into a hat. And when Escoffier said he wants the uniform white,
Yeah.
management said, but they're going to get very dirty because the kitchen's in the basement. And he turned around and he was quite a practical character. He turned around and he said, move the kitchen up.
Ja, sê-
Wow.
Mooi. Ja, maar ja,
Basically, he was asking for a cleaner working environment.
Exactly. Exactly.
But also easier to your guests.
Yeah. And because he was very proud of his profession, and
Yeah.
he wanted to put on this professional front.
Yes.
And white, if you're working in a kitchen, if you're working cleanly, neatly, and tidily, you've got a white uniform on. But getting to colors of jackets, nowadays you get all different colors:
Ek
black,
het al
green,
gesien. Ek
red.
het al
Oh,
oranje,
okay.
groen, ja, ja.
Okay.
They are fantastic, because it adds color to your establishment or
yeah,
whatnot,
yeah,
or
yeah.
to,
Yes.
but if you're using it on a daily basis, every
Yeah.
day in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and you're washing them regularly, they lose their color very, very quickly.
Ja.
So within
Okay.
6 months, your black jacket is looking dull and gray.
Right.
I have got a black jacket, which I use every so often for presentations and for one morning
Yeah.
events and
Yeah.
things like that. And but I've still got it. It's like 5 years old now, and it's still in good condition because I'm
Yes.
not wearing it every single day.
Okay.
So if you're wearing the jacket every single day, black tends to become a very, it loses its color. It becomes very, and no matter how clean it is, it doesn't look as presentable as, say, your jacket.
Yes. Yes. And they're probably not, shall we say, inexpensive, is it? Or
They're pretty much the same price. It's just
okay. That's
a different
it's
color.
the same fabric that's just
Sure.
been dyed.
okay.
So
Ek het nog altyd het ek 'n admirasie gehad vir chefs met hulle wit of swart jackets en hulle hoede. Maar dan moet ek vir julle twee manne en vir al ons kykers vandag sê. As hom een uniform wat my vat. En as hy my vat hy my in die movies toe. En dis daai nurses.
Ah, okay.
Kort
We can do that on Health
Crazy.
Thursdays, by the way.
Oh, daai uniform vat my darm na 'n ander plek toe. En dis ook nie hospitaal toe nie. Ja,
My
nou,
mother was a registered nurse.
Is dit okay? Ja, my
in
ma
her
ook,
day,
my ma
and,
ook.
and seeing her having to put those buttons, those old buttons with the rings on her uniform and her epaulets and what it was, yeah, it was.
Nee, die nurses wat waarna ek verwys is sommer tjoefjaf, ek dink is wel hulle gebruik velcro. Is vinnig in en uit. Kaufee, right. Hoe lyk ons kommentare? Ons
Okay,
staan nou al
nee, die laaste kommentaar kom so deur, baie interessante inligting. Hy sê dankie Chef Terry. Daarso het ou Rousseau Hill, hy sit in 'n area waar ons op die oomblik nie die beste wifi kry nie.
Ai,
Hy
kyk,
sê hy
ja,
was in
môre.
die woestyn met 'n groot pel van hom met verlore steenkap. Hy sê hy het sy beesterd heeltemal anders gedoen. Hy het hom in broth geboil in sy 3 pot en dan daar nagebraai en so lekker barbecue basting gebrush. Yeah, I guess you can turn it around the other way as well, whatever suits your fancy.
Ek wil by Rousseau hoor 'n Floris Steenkamp 'n oud joernalis is.
Nee, daar's 2 Floris Steenkampe.
O nee, ek
Ek
dink
dink
maar-
dalk kan dit daai
Dink maar net
Floris
aan 'n oud
Steenkamp.
joernalis by die kus. As dit daai Floris is wat 'n oud joernalis is, sê ons hom baie welkom by die show.
Dis hy.
Want hy kan
Dis
ons
hy.
interessante staaltjies en goed bydra.
Ja,
vir
ek
al
dink
die
dit
jare
kan
wat
dalk hy wees.
Al die jare wat
Ons
hy
sal wel
by
uitvind.
media betrokke was.
Yes.
Maar kom ons hoor by
En
by
dan vleit ons storie is uit. Miskien kan ek net gou die weer deurgee.
absoluut.
Okay, so the forecast for tomorrow, the 27th of May, very cold, a cautionary note once again, very cold conditions expected in the south, Khomas and Omaheke regions on Monday and Tuesday. Crop and small stock farmers are advised to take the necessary precaution. At the coast, partly cloudy and mild with fog patches. Minimum temperature vir môre wat die Met Office aanbetref, 10 grade in Windhoek.
Dis nie
At the
bad.
coast, 8
It's
and
okay.
9. I think it might be a little colder, but let's just have a look how that goes.
Ja, so
Katima Mulilu 13 degrees, Ondangwa 14, Ochivarongo 10. Dit raak duideliker kouer soos dit van die
Ja.
noorde afkom. Riobot 9 grade. Kom ons check 'n bietjie. Keetmanshoop 7 grade vir julle.
Atta,
Atta Karasburg 6 grade vir julle.
Noordoewer.
Ek het Noordoewer op die oomblik nie hier by my nie. Maar kom ons kyk 'n bietjie die ooste daarso. Buitepos ook 9 grade.
Ja, okay,
Grootfontein
okay, ja.
9 grade.
Okay.
Gobabis. I think it's going to be minimum of 9 degrees tomorrow morning. Julle moet lekker warm aantrek.
Okay, ek wil Kaufee, julle het nou ander planne vir môre, maar as ek nou vir Chef Terry nou vra.
Yes.
Nou vir die familie Chef Terry. Want ons praat oor die average familie. Wat sou jy sê met die ouens môre dink aan voorberei vir die Saterdag? En vir die Sondag? So lekker familie kossie en wyntjies.
Ek kan vir jou nou al sê ons gaan braai môre.
Okay.
So,
So braai, daar's altyd tyd vir braai.
Maar met 'n
then
wyntjie of iets so.
yeah. And then Sunday we're definitely going to have a nice lazy late afternoon family lunch. A proper hearty,
It's always lekker, né?
yeah,
Yes.
potatoes, veggies,
Wow.
Net 'n lekker
a
kookos.
roast or
Okay.
stew or
Okay.
Your
Well-
family is probably one of the most spoiled family in the whole world.
my wife cooks very well. So
Okay.
you know, I get off time sometimes.
Oh, really? Yeah. I
En sy-
also
sy
find
was al-
that Zelly cooks the most.
Sy het al kommentaare gelewer op ons show, Kaufee.
Okay.
Ja.
Ja.
Onder die naam?
Anneliese.
Annelies, ja. Ja.
Ek wil net vir julle, en dis die goeie nuus, die lekker naweek wat voor lê, 'n lekker koue naweek. Maar lekker hearty kos maak, kuier saam met vriende, miskien binneshuis. En dan wil ek vir julle ongelukkig die sad nuus gee.
Right.
Ons is klaar met vakansie daar nou in die middel van die week.
I think
Ons
there are a
is
lot of us that
klaar
are actually
met lang
very,
naweke. Ons is nou klaar.
very
Dis nou
happy about that, so we can get back to business.
Mylpaal Desember. Mylpaal Desember. That's it.
Yeah.
Sê vir die 1000 donkies. Al wat ek vir jou kan sê, maar kan ons hierdie medisyne net drink voordat ons nou daarom net vir jou dankie sê vir vandag.
Cheers. Thank you, Terry, and always thank you for your
a
En
contribution.
dankie vir die dae wat jy beskikbaar is. En wil ek hê ons moet ook hierdie drink op Silver Spoon Academy vir dit wat julle doen. en dit wat julle doen vir al die aspirant en kandidaat chefs en mense wat belangstel in die culinary hospitality wêreld. Maak seker julle gaan na Silver Spoon Academy se website, Facebook, gaan sien hulle by die ou power station. Gaan sien hulle daar en moenie drome droom nie, maak drome werklikheid deur die kursus te gaan doen. Dit word wêreldwyd ervaar. Aanvaar. Chef Teddy baie duisend dankie. Okay.
And so maak ons klaar. We'll see you again on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe if you are traveling. And stay tuned to Infostream Namibia.
En liefde van huis toe uit.
Bye
van
bye.
huis tot mens. Bye bye. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Remember, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and you can also WhatsApp us. Please do us a favor and like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell icon, so you can get an update when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for now, hope to see you next time.